For most companies, rejecting a job candidate feels like the end of the story. But what if it's actually the beginning? What if saying no the right way could become a secret weapon for your brand? Well, today we're going to break down how to turn that dreaded rejection process from a liability into one of your greatest strategic assets. So let's just start with a number that should make everyone sit up and pay attention. A jaw-dropping 92% of candidates say they've been ghosted during a hiring process. Yeah, after an application, maybe even an interview, they just hear nothing. This isn't just some minor slip-up, it's a massive breakdown in how companies are treating people. See, here's the thing. A rejected candidate doesn't just vanish into thin air. They become one of three things: a future customer, a future hire, or a very vocal enemy of your brand. And which path they go down? Well, that's not random at all. It's almost entirely decided by the experience you give them on their way out. All right, let's talk real-world costs, because the damage from a bad rejection process goes way beyond just hurt feelings. It has a real, measurable impact on the bottom line. Just think about the ripple effect for a second. A huge 72% of candidates will share their negative experiences with friends, family, and online. So every single bad rejection literally creates a small army of anti-ambassadors actively telling people not to apply to your company or, even worse, not to buy your products. Now, let's flip that coin. When you get this right, an incredible 88% of rejected candidates are actually more likely to buy from you. Suddenly, your recruitment process stops being just a cost center and starts becoming a potential revenue driver. That's the game changer right there. So, how in the world do we fix this? Well, it's going to take a fundamental shift in how we think about a recruiter's job. We've got to move to a whole new model, the recruiter as coach. And look, this is not just a fancy new title, it's a completely different mindset. A recruiter coach doesn't just filter resumes and say yes or no. They're there to provide genuine, human-centric guidance. So even when they're delivering bad news, their main goal is to add real value to that person's career. Okay, let's really break this down. On the left, you've got the old way, the recruiter as a gatekeeper focused on one hire. But on the right, you see the new model, a talent coach, a relationship builder who's thinking about the entire talent world out there. You're moving from just filling a seat to building real strategic relationships. And this whole new model, it runs on a really cool principle we'll call HR ecology. The idea is simple, but it's so powerful. No talent is ever wasted. Every single application is an asset. If someone isn't right for this role, maybe they can be coached for a future one or redirected to a better fit. You stop burning bridges and you start building a permanent talent pipeline. Okay, so that's the big idea. But what does this actually look like day to day? Let's get practical. Here are 4 concrete ways a recruiter coach can add value, even while saying no. It really comes down to these 4 pillars. You can offer real feedback on their resume, give them some honest advice about the job market, point them towards skills they could develop, or, and this is the best case scenario, you redirect them to a role where they'd be an even better fit. For example, instead of that generic no thanks email, imagine giving a candidate specific, actionable feedback like this. It immediately helps them get better for their very next application. You've just turned a moment of rejection into a powerful moment of coaching. Or what about this? You're not just saying no, you're literally handing them a career roadmap. By suggesting a role like an HR business partner or HRBP, you're giving them a strategic tip that could unlock their entire career. That is pure coaching. I mean, come on, how much better is this than just saying, you're a bit too junior? You're pinpointing the exact skill gap and suggesting a real solution. You're empowering them to become a stronger candidate, and you can bet they will remember which company helped them do that. And finally, the ultimate move, redirection. This is that HR ecology idea in action. You're not rejecting a person, you're rerouting talent inside your own company. You get to keep a great candidate in your world and solve another team's hiring problem. That's a true win-win. Now, I know what you're thinking. The big objection. This all sounds amazing, but who has the time for this? And that's where technology, especially AI, comes into play. But here's the key. AI has to be your co-pilot, not your autopilot. So you have to be super clear about who does what. Let AI do the heavy lifting, right? Let it analyze resumes, draft feedback points, spot other roles they might fit. But the human recruiter, that's you, must always make the final call, add the empathy, and hit send. AI can generate the draft, but the human provides the coaching.
Okay, so to really make this happen in your organization, you're going to need buy-in from the top. And that means you have to be ready to answer those tough C-suite questions about time, risk, and, of course, the return on investment.
And you know what the first objection is always going to be? It's the knee-jerk reaction from any busy team. This is nice, but we just don't have the time.
Well, here's the answer. The reality is, when you use a smart system with AI and good templates, the extra time it takes to send quality, human-reviewed feedback is less than 2 minutes a person. Now, weigh that against having a key role sit empty for months because you've got a bad reputation, and the math gets pretty simple pretty fast.
And then comes the other big one, the fear of legal risk. A lot of companies have a blanket no feedback policy because they're absolutely terrified of getting sued. But here's what people get wrong. The danger isn't in giving feedback. It's in giving bad, subjective feedback. When you give objective, fact-based feedback that's tied directly to the job's requirements, you're actually demonstrating a fair process. It can reduce your legal risk by proving you made a sound, professional decision.
So what's the bottom line for the business? Well, the gains are direct and they are powerful. You build a stronger, pre-warmed talent pipeline for the future. You create brand ambassadors instead of brand detractors. And maybe most importantly, you prove that your company's people-first values are actually real, not just words on a website.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought. A company's true culture isn't revealed in the fun stuff like holiday parties. It's revealed in the difficult moments. And how you say no might just be the ultimate test of your brand, showing the world what you really, truly value.